Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is your host Thomas Terry from On the Hot Podcast. Today, this will be episode 140 for you guys today. Of course, this episode is going to be coming out on all four of our platforms, our Instagram account, our Facebook account, our YouTube account, and our Apple Podcast account. So let's go ahead and dive into the first segment of episode 140 for you guys. I'll be sharing my AFC and NFC championship game summaries of the championship games that we've seen transpire in the NFL this past weekend. So starting off with the AFC Championship, we see the third-seeded Kansas City Chiefs defeat the number one-seeded Baltimore Ravens 17-10 to win the AFC Championship and secure and punch their ticket to the Super Bowl to represent the AFC in this year's Super Bowl game. So this is crazy. The Kansas City Chiefs, on their worst year of the dynasty of Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Andy Reid, somehow, some way, still found a way to make it to the Super Bowl in the worst year of the Patrick Mahomes, Kelce, and Reid era. They somehow, some way managed to get to the Super Bowl at 11-6. They somehow, some way managed to get to the Super Bowl for the first time in Patrick Mahomes' young career playing road playoff games. He's 2-0 on the road now and is heading towards Las Vegas, Nevada to play in this year's Super Bowl. But defense truly wins championships. Steve Spagnuolo, what he's done for the Kansas City Chiefs defense as their defensive coordinator needs to be documented because he's done one hell of a job with this Kansas City Chiefs defense this year. The Kansas City Chiefs defense has actually been outperforming the Kansas City Chiefs offense this year. And that's mind-boggling when you think about that of Patrick Mahomes, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time to do it. But the Chiefs defense held the Ravens offense to a total of 10 points in the AFC Championship game. The Ravens, and the way how the Ravens truly, this is what I'm going to get into. The Ravens defense left the door open for the Baltimore Ravens to get back into this game. And they held the Chiefs to a total of 0 points in the second half of that AFC Championship game. But Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens offense cannot cash in on countless opportunities that got presented to go down the field and score points in the AFC Championship game when the defense did their job and shut out the Kansas City Chiefs from scoring any type of points in the second half of the AFC Championship game. But looking back at this game, Todd Monken, offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens, called a terrible game. And in that environment, it was a wet day in Baltimore on Sunday, and you're a running football team. You are known for running the football first, running the ball to set up the pass. And when you have Lamar Jackson dropping back in the pocket as if he is a pocket passer, we all know what Lamar Jackson is. He's a dual threat guy, makes plays with his arm and his legs, win ball games with his arm and his leg. Why the hell is Todd Monken only calling 6 running plays in the AFC Championship game when you're a run-first team? There is no way that all running backs in the backfield got a total of 6 combined carries in an AFC Championship game. You brought in Dalvin Cook for a big stretch for the Super Bowl run. I didn't even see him on the damn field, and he didn't even get a damn carry on Sunday. And then the thing is, Todd Monken is supposed to be better than Greg Roman. Why the hell is Todd Monken not looking back at the film that we seen when the Chiefs played the Bills last Sunday? 2 weeks ago, when the Bills found success running the football. The Bills found success and had a total of 182 rushing yards against that same Kansas City Chiefs defense. But game came down to mistakes. Zay Flowers made 2 crucial mistakes when the Baltimore Ravens needed him most. After having that 54-yard catch in that third quarter of that game, what does he do? He lets the emotions get the best of him and has a taunting play where he pushed down Snead after getting by him for a huge 54-yard gain down the field. A taunting penalty gets called for 15 yards. After the big 54-yard gain, you dock them back. They're moved back 15 yards behind the chain, and if that never happens, they're closer to the goal line to potentially score 6 points and get 7 points total out of the drive. But with that happening, a few plays later, Zay Flowers extends the ball out to the goal line. And what happens? The defense does their job, punches the ball out, and it's a fumble. So Zay Flowers had 2 crucial mistakes in that ball game that realistically cost the Baltimore Ravens a lot. And Man, and then Lamar Jackson really didn't play his best in this game too, throwing 2 crucial interceptions, really one in the fourth quarter, throwing that into triple coverage. Man, this is a hard pill to swallow for the Ravens, and I'm not even a Ravens fan, and I just feel so bad for the organization coming up short and a promising year in the AFC Championship to the Kansas City Chiefs. But this Baltimore Ravens team will be around for a while. It looks like they will keep Todd Monken, their offense coordinator. Even though he called a bad game on Sunday, he's been overall very well after replacing Greg Roman as their offensive coordinator. Defensive head coach Mike McDonald interview with the Washington Commanders and the Seattle Seahawks. I'm not sure what he's going to decide to do, but I'm pretty sure that those 2 guys will remain in Baltimore next year. And if they remain in Baltimore, the Baltimore Ravens will be in good hands and back to being one of the top teams in the AFC. But moving on to the NFC Championship game, we've seen the number 1 seeded San Francisco 49ers defeat the 3rd seeded Detroit Lions 34-31 to win the NFC Championship and punch their ticket to this year's Super Bowl, representing the NFC Conference this year. But looking back at this game, the 49ers were the more physical team. They just wanted it more than the Detroit Lions on Sunday in the NFC Championship game. Had one of the biggest comebacks in NFC Championship history. I think that was the biggest conference comeback in NFC or AFC history when they came back from a 17-point deficit. They came down from a 24-7 deficit, scored 17 points in 8 minutes in the third quarter to come back and rally back to win that game in the NFC Championship against the Detroit Lions. Brock Purdy showed he's not a game manager, Cam Newton. He showed he's more than a game manager and more than capable of bringing his team from a huge deficit in an NFC Championship game and proved why he is a clutch performer no matter what the people say and the talent surrounding him. Brock Purdy is a pretty good quarterback in my eyes, and he showed he can overcome adversity when it matters most. Kyle Shanahan showed he can finally dig his team out of a hole. Kyle Shanahan has the history of not digging his team out of a hole. When they face a deficit and late in ball games, they normally lose the games, but Kyle Shanahan flipped the switch and proved that he can bring his team from adversity and come back from big time game or out of big time leads. But the real story of how the Lions really blew this game, to me, Dan Campbell, the Lions head coach, was way too aggressive in this ball game, going for it on 4th down in this game. We all know Dan Campbell lives and dies by big decisions and gambles and ball games. But Dan, you can't do this in an NFC Championship. And he did that in this game, gambling on 4th down, and the gambles did not pay off. The Detroit Lions went 1 for 3 on 4th down conversions in the NFC Championship game to the San Francisco 49ers. Mistakes truly hurt the Detroit Lions' chance of finally representing the NFC and playing in their first franchise Super Bowl in franchise history. You had the Gibbs fumble that transpired in the second half of that ball game. The Detroit Lions had dropped interceptions. Missed tackles cost the Detroit Lions this ball game. And the Lions, it hurts. I know it hurts for the Lions just as much as it hurts for the Ravens because you were just this close this year of playing in a Super Bowl. And that's all 32 teams around the league's goal in an NFL season, to play in a Super Bowl, get to a Super Bowl, and most importantly, win one. But, man, the Detroit Lions were so close. But they deserve a lot of credit for their growth over the last few years. I mean, looking back when Dan Campbell took over this team in 2021, they finished the year in 2021 with 3 wins, 13 losses, and 1 draw. Then you look at their growth in 2022, they finished the season with 9 wins, 8 losses, just barely missing the NFC playoffs. Then this year, they went 12-5, won the NFC North, and won 2 playoff games, winning a playoff game for the first time since 1991. The Detroit Lions, I tip my cap to them. I think they're going to be around for a very long time. I know a lot of Detroit Lions fans out there watching and listening are really happy with the news that transpired today of offensive coordinator Ben Johnson turning down the Washington Commanders offer and the Seattle Seahawks offer to be their next respective head coaches, and has decided to come back to Detroit for another year to be their offensive coordinator. So I know a lot of Detroit fans are very happy about that. I just think they will be around in the NFC for a while. Now, with this roster, I think if they revamp their defense during the NFL offseason, they'll be around for a long time. it just might be a little bit more difficult to win the NFC North next year with the Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love and company coming around now. I'll get to them later on in the episode, but they're around and they're nothing to sneeze at now because it looks like they got their next franchise guy for the next 4 to 5 years in Jordan Love and company. So those are my thoughts on the AFC and NFC championship games that transpired in the world of football inside the NFL world this past weekend.